Chosen one, stop right now. Don't scroll ahead. Don't hurry. Don't allow your thoughts to drift even slightly, because what you're sensing in this instant isn't random. Something within your spirit stirred, the very moment your eyes met these words. Deep inside you, a quiet voice said, "Listen closely." That's because heaven has been patiently waiting for the precise second you'd pause long enough for God to speak straight to you. You might believe you randomly clicked on this message, but in reality, you were led here, drawn here, gently pulled by a presence that has walked with you far longer than you ever knew you weren't alone. You've been holding so much quietly, striving to appear strong for others, while your own heart grew weary. You've grinned through tempests, kept yourself intact when no one asked how you were, and battled private wars behind shut doors. You thought no one noticed you, but God saw. He witnessed the nights you wept silently. He saw the times you pushed forward when your soul pleaded for a break. He observed every wound you tried to hide, every fear you concealed, every quiet prayer you offered, trusting heaven was listening. And heaven was. For years you've believed you were merely getting by, managing existence, doing what needed doing. But the reality runs far deeper. You have little understanding of your true self. What seemed like endurance was truly divine support. What felt like instinct was actually spiritual insight. What appeared as your power was really the hand of God, sustaining you through terrain your own feet couldn't handle. Chosen one, your spirit has remained alert even as your body grew fatigued. You've waged invisible fights, prayed without realizing, shielded others without grasping why you absorbed their sorrow. You've been spiritually alert long before your mind grasped the scope of your purpose. That's why your heart senses events beforehand. That's why others open up to you without explanation. That's why rooms change energy when you enter. Heaven has spoken softly over you for so long. If only they realized the depth within them. If only they understood why shadows trembled at them. If only they recognized the vastness of their assignment. And right now, in this exact instant, God moves from whispers to full disclosure. Why God sends warnings. You're not merely viewing content, you're being stirred awake. Chosen one. Let me share something that will finally explain years of weariness, bewilderment, and emotional burdens you could never fully articulate. Your body has felt exhausted because your spirit has labored relentlessly. Even without comprehending your impressions, your spirit recognized precisely what surrounded you. Your spirit has been music, on watch, interceding, guarding, discerning far before you found words for it. That's why some days leave your body depleted despite little activity. That's why certain individuals drain your vitality instantly. That's why unexplained heaviness settles on you. It isn't frailty, it's spiritual labor. There were evenings you couldn't sleep, gazing upward, sensing an unseen shift, but unable to name it. That wasn't worry. It was your spirit detecting spiritual friction. There were instances when prayer surged within you urgently, even without clear cause. That wasn't chance. It was your spirit answering what heaven revealed ahead of your understanding. There were overwhelming times when calling on God brought sudden calm like a wave. That wasn't fleeting comfort. It was your spirit linking back, music to its origin. Understand this. You've always felt set apart because you are. While most navigate solely by physical senses, you've carried spiritual sensitivity since early years. You've always sensed the mood around you. You detected insincerity instantly. You foresaw threats before they surfaced. You perceived others' pain despite their facades. You're not fabricating this. Your spirit has been honed, refined, fortified through every trial you've overcome. You've shouldered loads others never bore. You've lifted unseen spiritual burdens others overlooked entirely. Because of that, your conflicts felt weightier. Your challenges dragged on. Your sorrows struck harder. Yet you persisted, not from mere human toughness, but because your spirit would not yield. God embedded a fighter within you, a sentinel, a prayer warrior, a guardian. You don't simply exist. You protect life, perceive it, sense it, and move through it with a profundity few will ever grasp. Your spirit has upheld you. Even on days you couldn't support yourself, your fatigue was never defeat. It proved your spiritual fortitude. Chosen one, here's a truth that will clarify the odd burden you've borne lifelong. Not every conflict you battled was yours alone. Some weights you carried stemmed from elsewhere. Sudden sorrow waves arrived unlinked to your circumstances. Fear struck unexpectedly. Even in peaceful surroundings, you weren't losing sanity. Your spirit entered fights before they appeared physically. You detected spiritual conflict unrelated to your own story, but tied to those around you. Your sensitivity exists by design. You've always foreseen events. You've always perceived motives before exposure. You've always noticed room shifts ahead of others. That wasn't suspicion, that was spiritual perception. Through this gift, God placed you as a barrier where others stood exposed. Your mere presence halted assaults on unaware individuals. You've positioned yourself between your loved ones and inherited ruin. You've prayed away calamities from those who doubted prayer's power. You've shielded hearts that never shielded yours. The adversary targeted you because removing you would leave your covered ones vulnerable. Your spirit has absorbed pressures that would overwhelm others. That's why your unease felt mismatched to your reality. That's why weight arrived causelessly. That's why exhaustion hit without cause. You were interceding spiritually, intercepting spiritually, engaging battles heaven assigned you, trusting your reliability. You've borne the unspoken grief of others. You've felt loved ones' sorrow before hearing their tale. You've anticipated treachery before the wound. You've captured distant spiritual distress and wondered why your heart ached at midnight. Your spirit fulfilled its role, bridging gaps. Pay close attention. The enemy didn't strike because of your earthly self. He struck because of your spiritual identity. Your prayers shatter darkness. Your presence alters environments. Your spirit holds authority. Hell dreads this. That's why your path has resembled warfare. You battled beyond yourself. Chosen one, breathe deeply and absorb this. You've outlasted what should have destroyed you. You've navigated eras that would fragment most. You've borne heartaches that could seal your heart shut. You've encountered betrayals that could breed resentment. You've faced tempests capable of sinking your belief. Yet here you stand, not merely upright, but expanding, stirring, ascending. You didn't simply endure. When energy feels off, you were reshaped in the flames. The agony meant to entomb you became fertile ground for God's planted resilience. Recall periods of emotional suffocation, when chest pressure felt crushing, when you doubted joy's return. Music. You didn't merely outlast those times, you advanced through them. Each tear nourished fresh resilience. Each setback deepened wisdom's reservoir. Each disloyalty revealed your true self and boundaries. Those who harmed you unknowingly drew you nearer to God, even unseen then. You faced falsehoods, misjudgments, exclusion, desertion, criticism, neglect, and outright cruelty from those you defend fiercely. Yet none music shattered you. Instead, every harsh act became a step toward greater fortitude. What the adversary intended to injure, God transformed into awakening. What aimed to mute you honed your voice. Lost connections were essential for spiritual maturity. God removed some because they couldn't accompany your next path. Here's a truth you seldom voice. Some survived storms felt overwhelming then. You doubted survival. You felt inadequate, unready, even unspiritual. Music. Some days breathing was victory, but heaven battled when you couldn't. Angels shielded when you felt abandoned. God enveloped you despite your doubts of his attention. You endured not from toughness alone. You endured because you're selected. You didn't fracture because your fracture would disrupt God's authored destiny. Every mark proves victory. Every mended hurt confirms no weapon prospered. You didn't merely arrive, you were sustained. Chosen one. Listen intently, this will touch unspoken depths within. For years, you've accepted the hardship-shaped, trauma-formed, survival mode version as your true self. But that was never authentic. That was the guarded, quiet, weary yet strong, overanalyzing, withdrawn self you adopted to survive breaking seasons. But heaven declares that era closed. That self fulfilled its role. You're not your endured pain. You're God's embedded purpose. You're not others' inflicted scars. You're God's assured restoration. You're not rejection's marks. You're heaven's embracing acceptance. Too long you viewed yourself through harm's filter, not your Creator's gaze. You've worn life's labels, fractured, isolated, insufficient, excessive, invisible, exploited, discarded. Heaven uses different terms: selected, consecrated, shielded, distinguished, reclaimed, fortified, commissioned. Others saw only your interim self, the limping, wounded, quiet to avoid trouble, light dimming to comfort others' version. They assessed your healing chapter, not your unfolding story. They noted scars, missed calling, heard silence, ignored prayers, misread withdrawal as flaw, not divine distinction. They deemed you frail, unaware God reconstructed inwardly. God now removes every false label's burden. The rage not yours, the detachment not yours, the mistrust not yours, the dread not yours. Those were responses, human reactions to unseen warfare, temporary defenses in unprotected times. Now God restores the unguarded heart. He strips survival layers, unveiling your eternal identity. Heaven knows who you are, even when earth forgets. You're chosen. Your authentic identity now awakens. Chosen one, embrace this instant fully. What follows isn't mere uplift, it's disclosure. You're stepping into a sacred time where God removes every imposed layer over your essence. Years of clouded self-view, doubtful, hesitant, blind to inner greatness, are ending. Heaven now sharpens sight. God prepares to unveil your true self, always present beneath burdens, beneath sorrow, beneath past, beneath others' demands. This coming phase isn't crafting novelty, it's recalling an eternal design God formed before creation. Your real self outmatches face tempests. It's spiritually keen, perceptive, heaven-linked. It's empathetic yet unexhausted, courageous yet gentle, affectionate yet bounded. Spiritual tests through people, humble yet visible. God revives the you trauma dulled, disappointment hushed. He summons the self-darkness prayed you'd ignore. Music. Once you grasp your truth, darkness forfeits control. That's why recent shifts feel real. Why old interests fade. Why drama, toxicity, superficial ties lose appeal. Why your spirit yearns for calm, substance, honesty, quiet. That's your authentic self re-emerging. That's soul realignment. God detaches what diminishes identity and connects what ignites purpose. This isn't forfeiture. It's refinement. Not loneliness. Preparation. Not void. Realignment. Listen, God will soon disclose unknown gifts within. Insight arrives. Spiritual power ascends. Intuition hones. Peace solidifies. Holy Spirit sensitivity heightens. Doors swing wide unrequested. Chances arrive unchased. Souls gravitate to your light, unclear why. You'll view yourself as heaven always has. Chosen, equipped, deserving, purposed, shielded. Your true self surfaces. Once unveiled, you'll refuse to diminish for spaces God calls you to transcend. This is your era of spiritual disclosure. Music. Your sacred identity steps forward into radiance, chosen one, as these words settle over your spirit. Today, pause and sense the holiness here. This isn't chance. Not another clip. Not mere sound. This is divine timing. Heaven readied you for this revelation. Now God's Spirit releases prophetic words over you. Whether you raise hands, shut eyes, or let words sink deep, receive music fully in spirit. You've traversed excess, music born excess, prayed fervently, outlasted silent seasons for this to lack meaning. God isn't simply consoling, He's proclaiming identity. In Jesus' mighty name, I declare every concealed strength surges forth. Dormant becomes vibrant. Obscure becomes clear. Every locked gift, discernment, insight, authority, calm, empathy, courage, awakens completely. I declare years' heaviness pressing your shoulders, shatters from your spirit now. Freedom arrives like first full breath. Freedom from past hurts, fears, roles, pressures. I declare every inherited load, known or unknown, lifts by God's hand. Family cycles halt in you. Destructive patterns end here. intended attacks become elevating testimonies. I declare every ordained blessing, door, bond, advance, chance, fulfilled prayer reaches you smoothly, unmistakably. You won't overlook God's plan. You won't forfeit what's sealed, chosen one. This season aligns identity with calling. You'll move transformed, speak transformed, think transformed, not from self-effort but spirit awakening to truth. You're not common, not accidental, not overlooked. You're chosen, consecrated, commissioned, enveloped by God Himself. If this stirred your spirit, remain linked. Subscribe for continued prophetic guidance on your path. And if the Holy Spirit prompts, support via super thanks or donation. Never mandatory, deeply valued.